All right, this video is part 2 of a 4-part interview series where I interview my wife, Rebecca, on her experience taking the Wholesale Formula course, what she experienced while taking the course, and the results following the course that she took. In her experience with learning how to do wholesale, buying, selling wholesale items on Amazon. So if you missed part 1, in the description below, we'll put a link to part 1, so go watch part 1. Sets up the foundation for the whole series. But this is part 2, and it's focused on her starting to apply what she learned in the course. So in the last video, part 1, we talked about her experience with the course. Part 2, her experience applying what she learned to start looking for wholesale sources, start looking for wholesale leads, trying to find them and find good quality leads that are going to lead to selling profitable wholesale items on Amazon. So that's part 2. Let's get to the interview. Here it is. Welcome to part 2 of our interview series with Rebecca. She went through the wholesale formula. She starts putting it into action, and I'm here to pick her brain on this experience. So part 1, we focused mostly on taking the course, what the course was like. So if you missed that, be sure to go back. What are you doing? This is called part 2. So please go watch part 1. So part 2, starting to scout. You are looking online, trying to find inventory to sell on Amazon. You're doing product analysis, you're doing research, you're making your decisions. So how did you get started with the whole scouting process?
So just to kind of follow up from part 1, to refresh your memory if you didn't just finish watching that video, I had taken the course over about a 6-week period starting in January, the second week or so of January. So by the end of February, I was finished with the course, had everything set up with our website and email templates and an idea of, how I was going to proceed from there. And after having taken the course, I knew from the past and kind of had a vague idea of the concept of leaf sourcing and had seen some videos of that in the past from the Wholesale Formula. But when I went through the materials in January of this year, I really latched onto the idea of super targeting. And I immediately knew when I learned about that how I wanted to implement that with our own business, because we already have established wholesale accounts for multiple products that we sell really well on a consistent basis. And so the idea of super targeting and going in and looking at it okay, so who are our competitors on these items? Are there people that are, showing up consistently and fall within the specifications of what they say in the wholesale formula of who exactly are you looking for as a competitor? You don't want anybody that's, too far this way or too far that way with the criteria. And so I went through and looked, and sure enough, I had 11 competitors that, just looking through a handful of our products, I came up with a list of 11 competitors that I wanted to do super targeting with. And that is something that I then ran some scans on tactical arbitrage of those competitors' storefronts. And I did that towards, I think it was, I've got notes here, February 25th. And I wanted to let everybody know that, tactical arbitrage runs those scans and it's done within a short period of time. But it wasn't until May 1st that I decided to actually look at those results.
March 1st.
March 1st,
yes.
Not May 1st would have been ridiculous. It was March 1st. So several days later, after I got those results, that I looked at it. And that was because I was feeling just intimidated and overwhelmed again. Not because I felt this is too hard or anything. They did such a great job in the course of spelling it out. But just my personality is oh my goodness, how is this going to work out? I'm nervous. What if I fail? It was total mindset issues that I was having. So ran my scans on the 11 super targeting competitor people and had hundreds of results that I started looking through at the beginning of March.
Yep. So when you're just going through those leads in the first few weeks, what were you thinking? What were you experiencing? What were you feeling? While you kind of talked a little bit about that, but go a little bit deeper on the first few weeks of actually following through with those tactical arbitrage results.
So I had decided early on, I know that, using a virtual assistant, VAs, that's something that's talked about quite a bit in the wholesale formula. And we have used VAs in the past. And so we're familiar with that idea, totally sold on the idea of having the help of a VA to speed up the process and to take away that burden of going through a lot of like real repetitive type work. But I also felt like I want to do some of this myself, partly because I enjoy it and don't mind it, and partly because I just feel pretty strongly about like I need to know what I'm doing here before I ask somebody else to do it for me. So, like I said, it was kind of overwhelming once I went through and ran those scans and had hundreds. I can't remember. I want to say it was over 300 results in tactical arbitrage of items that fit the filters that I had set up in tactical arbitrage according to the way they teach you in the wholesale formula. And that's not an unusual number for me, having done OA with tactical arbitrage for years. I'm used to having that many items to kind of sort through. I know how to set up my filters, and I know how to kind of rearrange columns and do different things. I've got a streamlined process for analyzing products that way. And so I wasn't so much intimidated by, oh, that's just too many to look through or anything like that. But I was just kind of feeling like, I don't know, just dragging my feet and procrastinating. It's a personality thing of like, oh, the longer I procrastinate this, the longer it will be before it doesn't work for me. Because I'd convinced myself that like, this is going to be such a great opportunity, but what if it doesn't work? What if I'm not any good at it? What if I can't make it work? And so I kind of dragged my feet on it in that respect a little bit longer than I should have.
And I think that's normal. I think that's normal for a lot of people. So. I mean, if you're watching this and I'm not sure where you are in the course of taking all the videos and putting things into action, but if you haven't started yet, or even if you have, you might experience that where you're like, you put things off because you're worried you might fail. And yeah, not having to know whether or not you have failed, you know, might put, I can't even speak, might get you to a point where you push it off for a really long time.
It's a perfectionist tendency. If you're a perfectionist, you would rather procrastinate than do something that's not going to be 100% successful on your first try without a lot of failure. And that is not necessarily a great thing. It can end up with really great results, but it can also end up with like a lot of wasted time. And so this is one more example of so many that I've learned in my life and in my business, that done is better than perfect. Just get it done. You don't have to eliminate all types of failure before you get started. That's not how this works. You just get it done, and you're going to learn through your mistakes. And that's how you streamline your processes better. And that's how you get to success quicker in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. So for those of you who are watching and you haven't heard about tactical arbitrage, what would you say, like, what is tactical arbitrage? How has it helped you with wholesale? Because I know tactical arbitrage has a good reputation when it comes to online arbitrage, but talk to us about tactical arbitrage when it comes to wholesale.
So it's a similar concept. Like, you end up with a similar type results. All you're doing is scanning a set of products for matches in the Amazon catalog, and then you're able to compare your product and its price with the price on the Amazon, with the matched listing on the Amazon catalog, and then see by looking at all of these other data points whether or not that's going to be an item that would be good for you to buy and resell. And so when you're doing it using tactical arbitrage with OA, you are taking an online retail site and you're taking a category, a URL from a category on that online retailer's website, plugging it into tactical arbitrage. They're scanning all of the items, matching it with the Amazon catalog, and then you get this list of results that you can then sort through and analyze. So with wholesale, they have a couple of different ways, multiple ways that you are set up that you can scan. So one is that you can take an Excel sheet from a wholesale supplier's catalog, and that would have, at the bare minimum, you're going to need the UPC and the price. And they take those UPCs, match it up with the UPCs in the Amazon catalog and that price, and give you back the results so that you can then look at, okay, if I have it at this price, will I make any money off of this? Is it going to be worthwhile to resell it? And then with the super targeting, though, that I was mentioning before, it's another way that you can find a storefront on Amazon, take that person's seller ID, and plug that into tactical arbitrage. And then they will take all of the items in that person's or that storefront, that company's storefront, and scan all of those items to find, just to give you a list of what all is in there. So you're not going to necessarily have you're not going to have the buy price because you don't have a source for it yet. Mm-hmm. Basically, you're just getting a list of items, and then you take that from there to source it. So like there's different ways that tactical arbitrage can be used for wholesale, and those are the two main ones that I have used. As I always say, when it comes to tactical arbitrage, there are way more ways to use it than I know how to even begin to describe, because I use it for the limited things that I use it for and get way more results than I know what to do with. And so I'm good with only using it for those purposes. And so just to kind of go back to, I did my super targeting of the 11 different competitors. I had hundreds. I don't have it written down. I want to say it was over 300. It might have been more like 400 or 500. I went through those, sorted through them, analyzed according to the 4-point checklist, and got it down to a few dozen after the 4-point checklist, kind of looking at individually each of those. And then when I went through the 21-point checklist from Wholesale Formula, I had about 30-ish ASINs. So to have 30 ASINs for my first set of scans, I felt like it was doable for me. That was like a reasonable amount, because then with those, that's 30 companies that I'm now going to go try to talk to. And that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of companies. Mm-hmm. To me, that's a lot of people to then need to be in contact with. So that kind of brings us up to the end of the scouting process for that first round of scouting for me. That's kind of the process I went through, and my mindset and the steps that I took.
Yeah, and if you want to try tactical arbitrage out for yourself, you can go to fulltimefba.com/TA. Use the coupon code FULLTIME10 to get an extended 10-day trial for tactical arbitrage. We use it. We love it. It's pretty awesome. So this is the end of our second part of this video. In the next video, we're going to be talking about what Rebecca did with she had those leads, contacting those brands, those conversations, and how they went and how she felt. So let's get going on part 3 of that video. So that was part 2 of this 4-part series focused on me interviewing a student of the Wholesale Formula course, seeing what her experience was, and of course that student was my wife, and her experience. So she took the course in early 2021, and she had a chance to sit down with me in April of 2021 to record this interview, letting you know what her sourcing experience was after taking the course. In part 3, that drops March 3rd, 2022. The topic of the interview is going to be her conversations with brand owners, her interactions with brand owners, what it was like actually sending emails, talking to brand owners, trying to convince them to let her sell their items on Amazon, what it was like, how it was possible, experience a little bit with like outsourcing some parts of her wholesale sourcing to a VA, and how she was able to just get wholesale brands to say, yes, you can sell my stuff on Amazon. So that is the focus of part 3 that is coming up next. Be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. And if you are ready to focus on wholesale and learning everything from start to finish when it comes to buying and selling wholesale items, go check out the Wholesale Formula, fulltimefba.com/wholesale formula. We have a $2,000 bonus package we're throwing in if you purchase the Wholesale Formula through the link that you see, fulltimefba.com/wholesale formula. This bonus package, if you want to know more about it, fulltimefba.com/TWF bonus. The link is on the screen, so you can check out that bonus. But the Wholesale Formula course really revolutionized our Amazon business. It could do the same for you, so try it out, fulltimefba.com/wholesale formula. The course is only open for a very limited time, only a few days, so take advantage of learning about it right now. Check it out. If the course is closed and not open to the public, then do me a favor, use that same link, fulltimefba.com/wholesale formula, to sign up for the waitlist to know when it opens to the public again. All right, well, that's been part 2 of the video. I'll see you in part 3.